2005 Chrysler PT Cruiser Convertible Touring Edition. It's a surprisingly fun car to drive on country roads. It's just a shame that it happens to look like that. Oh well, it's a fantastically weird car, and I love it so much more than the hatch that it's based on. Really early in this channel, I made a video on the Chrysler PT Cruiser. In fact, it was the 8th video I made in this series. To me, that video is extremely rough compared to my current content, but I do feel that I did get my thoughts out somewhat coherently about the PT Cruiser. It was originally designed to be a Plymouth, which sadly saw the axe in the early years of the merger of equals, so the car that was supposed to be the savior of Plymouth instead became Chrysler's entry-level product. Much to the surprise of everyone at the time, the compact hatch rode the 50s nostalgia wave and became a smashing success due to its cheap cost, surprisingly fun driving dynamics, and useful packaging. However, the car languished for almost 10 years with very little updates, and they were major pains in the ass to work on. So, while the PT was looked down upon for being the de facto old person's car of the aughts, they were everywhere due to their early sales success, and that meant you got special editions and hotter versions galore. You got everything from appearance packages like the Street Cruiser and the Walter P. Chrysler Signature Series, to the GT, which shoved a slightly different version of the 2.4-liter EDV high-output Turbo 4 that also appeared in the Dodge SRT4. Then, because boomers loved their cheap convertibles, something Chrysler was sort of known for with the Sebring and LeBarons, the PT Cruiser got a convertible version of its own. And, yeah, it's pretty funky. Of course, they took the tallish 5-door retro hatch and made it a 2-door. Of course, they didn't actually make the chassis shorter, so they gave it longer doors to fill out the shared 103-inch wheelbase. To not only help stiffen the unibody chassis with the removal of the roof, but to also serve as rollover protection, I guess. You now get this sports bar, which isn't a roll bar, it's a sports bar. In fact, other than the taillights, nothing on the exterior is shared once you get past the A-pillar. Closely following the top of the hood line, there's a single body line at the top until you get to the rear. Between that straight line and the sports bar, it gives the PT Cruiser convertible almost a picnic basket appearance. This is certainly a frumpy looking car, but underneath its looks, the convertible gives you more over the already frumpy looking hatch. For whatever reason I had in my head that all convertibles were standard with the Turbo 4, apparently according to all of my digging you can get one with the naturally aspirated base 2.4. However, this Touring Edition has a slightly detuned version of the Turbo 4 than what's in the GT. Instead of 230 horsepower, the non-high output version of the Turbo 4 produces 180 horsepower. Compared to the naturally aspirated models, which I did complain in my original video about feeling underpowered, the Turbo 4 actually produces some fun to go with the surprisingly frisky road manners. For a mid-2000s car, this is a surprisingly fun little car to drive on country roads. The turbo comes in late, so you get a bit of that old-school turbo lag kick, and it's not afraid to chirp the tires when you ask it. The steering isn't modern car tight, but it's still engaging in the twisties. Unfortunately, the 4-speed automatic that traces back to the 1980s is sluggish as all heck. Again, a stick shift would all I really want to improve this. Anyways, the normal PT Cruiser is fairly quirky, but the convertible turns the quirkiness to 11. Normal operation of the top is fairly simple. Pull the grab handle in the center of the top to release it from the windshield, hit the button on the dash, and it should go down on its own. Now, this old PT has sat for a few years before being put on the road relatively recently, so it's alternating between the top being sluggish and not really working at all. These tops are hydraulically operated, and they have a tendency to give out over time. Sometimes it's as easy as turning an adjuster screw on the pump or topping off the hydraulic fluid, but more than likely it probably just needs a new pump on this 16-year-old car. Again, the cue ball shifter just looks weird. And trust me, the actual factory manual shifter is pretty much the same cue ball, because retro. Now, this is a 2005 model, so it doesn't get the clock of the 2006 refresh, but you still get the body match colors on the dash and the weird holy door pockets for some reason. You do get a trunk, which kind of has a weird opening due to it being a flat panel on the hatch of this thing, but you do get okay trunk space despite it being a convertible. No center console, but you do get armrests and a cup holder where the center console would normally go. One thing I've never noticed is that the valve cover is stamped on the 2.4 liter turbo, but you can't see most of that because of the aluminum intake that goes over everything, which also happens to say 2.4 liter turbo. Just redundant. Again, this isn't limited to the turbo engines. The non-turbo 4 has a plastic intake that covers that as well, but the twin stampings of the 2.4 liter turbo. Yeah, seems like a bit of an oversight. Anyways, the owner of this car is a familiar face of the channel. Once again, it's my boss's, Carl Long's car. I've already filmed the shop Honda Acti and his wife Dee Dee's Tesla Model 3, but his 2005 Chrysler PT Cruiser Convertible Touring Edition is something I've been after for a while for the channel. He's had it since new, and it was his daily driver when I first started working for him in 2014. At the end of 2015, it got phased out for what was Dee Dee's 2008 Nissan Armada, but the PT quietly was the backup car that got used whenever he or someone at the shop needed wheels. Eventually, his youngest daughter borrowed it for a little bit for college, but that all came crashing to an end when it jumped time in 3 years ago. It was fixed, but not long after that, the turbo went. Carl tried an eBay turbo, but found out that cheap is not always better in terms of turbos. He finally got a decent replacement turbo, but the car has sat fairly quiet for about 2 to 3 years. He's getting ready to sell it finally, since he's finally come to the conclusion that he has too many cars of his own. Trust me, there's quite a few more. At the time of filming, it needed a negative battery cable, as you needed to jiggle it occasionally to start it, but it was quickly fixed not long after the shoot. But yeah, this is a fantastically weird car. Again, I've been after Carl for a while to let me film it, and yeah, here it is for the show. These things were not highly thought of when they were new, and they definitely have not aged well. Again, they look like a breadbasket, especially if you get one in beige or gold. But that makes them charming, especially the higher end models with the turbo. Again, a very fun to drive little car. It just unfortunately looks like this. Now, whenever 2000s nostalgia becomes a thing, when reminder, we're in the middle of the 80s and 90s nostalgia booms because all of those kids have grown up and are now purchasing the cars they wanted as kids. I'm sure these Chrysler PT Cruiser convertibles are going to be the most highly sought after of the Chrysler PT Cruisers, aside from like the weird Walter P. Chrysler versions. These are just fantastically weird cars, and at some point, that nostalgia will kick in, but yeah, what a weird, funky, woefully impractical version of what was a wonderfully weird practical car. Again, Chrysler's kind of gone in a downward trend in recent years. There's only 2 models left that they sell. There's the Ever Agent 300, and then they sell the Pacifica minivan, which is a pretty good minivan. But aside from that, you can't get anything else from Chrysler. I'd hope at some point they would bring back a small, affordable hatchback. It was rumored in 2012 that the Lancia Delta would come over as the Chrysler 100, and those rumors would pop up again around 2017, 2018, with possibly the Fiat Tipo coming over as the Chrysler 100. But in the end, they were just teases. We never got another small, affordable hatch from the Chrysler brand, which is a shame. the once proud luxury brand that eventually kind of turned into a kind of fun, affordable car brand, just relegated to 2 models right now. And if the reports are true, 2022 is the last year of the 300. We just have the minivan. What lies in the future of Chrysler itself? I don't know. We can only speculate at this point, but hopefully with the recent Stellantis merger with Citroën and Peugeot being involved, we get the return of funky models like the Chrysler PT Cruiser Convertible like this. This has been another Wookie Drives, and this has been a fantastically weird Chrysler. Have a good night, everyone. Thank you.
Ow, something in my eye. Ow. Ah. Oh. Oh, God. Ah.
Thank you once again for watching another episode of Wookie Drives. Thank you so much to my boss, Carl Long, for letting me film and drive his Chrysler PT Cruiser Convertible for this show. I've been after him for a while about it, and finally got the opportunity a few weeks ago. Go ahead and follow Carl's fan page, Carl Long Motorsports on Facebook, and follow his race team's socials, MBM Motorsports on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, pretty much them all. If you've heard weird stuff in the background of the audio of this one, I'm sorry. I recently got a puppy, and he was kind of being a little booger for the recording, so, anyways, if you have a car or truck you'd like to see on the show, and happen to live in the Charlotte, North Carolina area, submit your car by emailing me at wookiedrives@gmail.com. That is wookiedrives@gmail.com. Follow the official channel Facebook page for channel updates. Follow my Twitter and Instagram at WookieAutomoTV for Wookie rants, raves, and shenanigans. Follow my TikTok at WookieAutomoTV for small, weird brain puke videos that don't really do well on the main YouTube channel, but I still feel the need for making. Be sure to give the video a like, drop a comment with some feedback. Be sure to share with all your Chrysler PT Cruiser or Weird Car Twitter friends. And subscribe for more Wookie Drives like these. Thank you so much for watching, and have a good day.
Want to get blown away? Then look no further than the full lineup of Chrysler convertibles. With more convertibles to choose from than any other brand, like the thrilling performance of Crossfire Roadster, PT Cruiser, the most affordable convertible, and America's favorite Sebring. There's sure to be one that fits your style. Open one up at your Chrysler dealer today. Get 0% financing or $2,500 cash allowance through May. Get an extra $1,000 bonus cash. Hurry, offers end soon.